what he's saying. What is your nationality according to the Bible? Oh, right down there. So Issachar. All right. So you'll be Issachar according to the Bible. Okay. So let me ask you something. So you knowing that you're an Israelite from the tribe of Issachar, how do you know that? What scripture that comes to mind when he told you that made you realize that you're an Israelite? You be hard workers. Okay. All right. So with that being said, so what he was breaking down to you, explaining that through the curses that have happened in Deuteronomy, we broke God's commandments. You understand that, right? So we broke God's commandments, and that's why we've been cursed as a people. So when you look at it, our people today, right? You look at our communities. Are you live in this area? Yeah. All right. So when you're looking around and you live in this area, what do you notice? Okay, poverty. What else you see? You see some gang violence. All right. What else? Drug use. Okay. All right. So give me Deuteronomy 28 verse 16. Because these are all things that God said would happen to who? Cursed. All right, but the cursed people. Who are the cursed people? The children of Israel. Children of Israel. God said these curses would happen to the children of Israel. Read that.
Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 16. Cursed shalt thou be in this city.
So you just said that we have drugs in our community, and you see drugs all throughout here. You see gang violence throughout all the community. You see poverty throughout all the community. So the Bible said that the children of Israel will be cursed in the city. So when you look at our cities and our neighborhoods, wouldn't you think that gang violence is a curse? Wouldn't you believe that drugs in our community is a curse? Yes. Poverty in our community is a curse? Yes. So God's saying that the children of Israel would have these type of living conditions wherever what city they go to, because I lived in El Paso, I lived in Killeen, Texas. No matter what ghetto I went to, I saw these same type of curses. I lived with no Hispanics in El Paso. They lived the same type of curses in poverty, gang violence, drugs. Know what I'm saying? All these things happen to us, and no matter what city we are in, no matter what city you would live in, you would go through these same curses, just like I would, because God said that would happen to the children of Israel for breaking his commandments, right? So give me Deuteronomy chapter 28 verse 49. So you know what happened to the so-called Mexicans and Hispanics? You know what happened to them in history? How did they lose this land? What happened? People came and took their land. What people came and took their land? Europeans, okay? So did you know that was in the Bible? All right, so go ahead. Deuteronomy 28 verse 49.
Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 49. The Lord shall bring a nation against thee from far.
So it said the Lord will bring a nation against the children of Israel from far. You said that the Europeans came. So this is called what? The Western Hemisphere, right? So what side of the world were the Europeans on? The Eastern Hemisphere. So it said the Lord will send a nation against you from far. So you said Europeans, but what nation of Europeans came? What was their actual nation, their nationality? Yeah, the Spaniards, right. So Spain is on the Eastern Hemisphere, and the so-called Mexican one on the Western Hemisphere. He said, for the Lord will send a nation from the end of the earth. Read.
As swift as the eagle flieth.
And it said that they will be as swift as the eagle flieth. So when you look at history and you look at these nations' symbols that they use, the symbol that Spain used was the eagle. If you look at America today, what is America's symbol today? What is the symbol that's on the Mexican flag? It's the eagle. So the Lord is telling you that this nation that was going to come from far would use the symbol as the eagle when they come to conquer your land. Read.
A nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand.
It's saying a nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand. Were the so-called Mexicans speaking Spanish before the conquistadors came? No, they were speaking what? Nahua. But when you look up the etymology or the history behind the word Nahua, that is a Spanish word. That means smooth speaking people.
Bring it out.
That is what the Spaniards called your language.
Right.
You were actually speaking Hebrew. So that is another way to show you that our history has been tainted, because even when we think we got native roots, it comes still back from Spanish backgrounds. So it's showing you weren't speaking Spanish because they conquered you and forced you to learn that language, just like they conquered you and forced you to learn Catholicism. They told you that if you don't accept their religion, they would hang and kill you.
Let them know.
Those are the atrocities that will happen. Read on.
A nation of fierce countenance.
It says a nation of fierce countenance. When you think of the word fierce, what comes to mind? Violent, right? They're aggressive. They're very aggressive. So what does the word conquistador mean? Conqueror. So you think of conquerors coming, love and peace? They're coming to conquer, they're coming to kill. So a nation of fierce countenance. So they came with a mindset of being destructive. They came with the mindset of combat. They didn't come with the mindset of peace. They came with the mindset of war. Read.
Which shall not regard the person of old, nor show favor to the young.
So I don't know if you know what they did to the young. They would have competitions on whose they could chop off the head faster. Those Jebusite priests and those conquistadors, they would have competitions on cutting the babies open.
Bring it on.
Dashing babies' heads on rocks. Right. That is fierce countenance, not regarding the person of the old, nor showing favor to the young. They gave them, you ever heard of smallpox, right? So do you know that was a deliberate attack, right? They took the blankets and gave it to the so-called Hispanics, knowing that they would use them to their children. So when you hugging your children after you touch them smallpox, now your children are affected with smallpox. And the way that smallpox work, you get these big old boils on your skin until they burst and they burn all over your body. So if they're giving those blankets knowing that that type of disease and infection would destroy their children, that is not regarding the person of the old, nor showing favor to the young. This is what God said will happen to the children of Israel for breaking his commandments. These are curses that's showing you that this Bible is a real book. Then you know that this pertains to you, that this is your history and we need to come back and change. So I'll give you another thing. You know what's going on at the border, right? So what's going on at the border? Tell me. People trying to get in. What happens when they try to get in? They getting beat up? Okay, give me Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 32. There's another thing that's going on at the border. That you ever heard where Trump with the separation detention centers? You heard about the detention centers, right? So with the detention center, what happens? How does that happen? How do kids get put in a detention center? They get caught without parents. So let's read it.
Verse 32. Thy sons and thy daughters shall be given unto another people.
So God said that the children of Israel, their sons and daughters, would be taken and given to another people. Those families are not just sending their children by themselves. Most of the time, they're coming with their children and they're being deported back, and their children being taken from them and put into those detention centers. Those are things that are going on at the border. Our sons and daughters are being taken from us and given to another people, because from the detention centers, where do they go? No, they go to foster homes. They go to foster homes, and then they are given up to the highest bidder to where they can take in and learn the so-called Europeans' philosophy. And they teaching them how to hate themselves and love whiteness. These are curses that God said will happen to the children of Israel. Even your name Mexican, right? Before you got here, you thought you was a Mexican, right? So where does the word Mexico come from? Okay, Aztec and Mexica, right? But what does the actual definition of Mexico mean? Like, where did that come from? Because you said Aztec, because Aztec is another word that the Spanish called them. Okay, I'm gonna help you out. Mexico means land of the war god. It was given by the Roman Empire. They named it that based off of the wars and the conquistadors that came. So land of the war god. So I'm gonna ask you, what's your name again, bro? I'm bad with name. Antonio. So let's say I'm gonna call you Jesse. Are you gonna go by Jesse? Why not? All right, but you've been calling yourself a nationality that's been given to you by another race of people. You see how it makes it? What's that? Deuteronomy chapter 28. Yes, sir.
Verse 37. And thou shalt become an astonishment, a proverb, and a byword.
So God said, Antonio, that the children of Israel will become a byword. A byword is a name called to you outside of your God-given name. So you living your life your whole time calling yourself a Mexican or Hispanic or Latino. Those are names that were given to you by another race of people. Those are not your God-given name. Your God-given name is what you learned today, is that you're an Israelite from the tribe of Issachar. Yes. That is your God-given name. But God said it would be a curse that you would be given another name, and you would be a proverb. A proverb is a wise saying or a stereotype. So what are stereotypes that they say about Mexicans? So-called Mexicans. What are stereotypes? Okay, hardworking, big family, okay. Okay, Eli. What about their rapists? What about their drug dealers? What about murderers? Those are negative connotations that they put on the so-called Mexican. And the same thing for black people. They see us and they think we're thugs. They think we gangbangers. We both have the same negative connotations put upon us, because this is what God said would happen. We would have these proverbs set on us because we chose to break God's commandments. So based off of the curses that we read, Antonio, from showing that we cursed in the cities, because you said we have drugs, poverty, and gangbanging in our neighborhoods. You know that the so-called Europeans, the Spanish, came from the eastern hemisphere all the way to the west and conquered and took this whole land from us, right? You know that we have had our nationality changed because they said we were Mexican, they said we were Aztecs, they said that we were Latino, they said all these things about us. We the ones are always having our nationality changed all throughout our lives. It's never been one thing. We've always have our nationality changed. Latinx, that is the new thing coming into the earth. Latinx. So we are the people that always having our nationality changed. We are the people that seem as the evil people of the world. We have these negative connotations put on us. So with these curses being said, on this file right here, you understand fully that you are an Israelite from where? Israelite from where? What's your nationality? So your nationality is Mexican. So we just went over that Mexican means land of the war god. It was given by another nation of people. And you just told me that you wouldn't call yourself Jesse because that's not your name. So how can Mexican still be your nationality if somebody from another race group told you that's who you were? Bring it out. So again, we just read the curses that God said would happen to the children of Israel. Matter of fact, could you read verse Deuteronomy 1:1, sir? We're going to read Deuteronomy 1:1 just to get the point that this Bible is only talking to the children of Israel, which are you so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans.
Deuteronomy chapter 1 and verse 1. These be the words which Moses spake unto all Israel.
So God said that these words that Moses spoke, those curses that we read, he only spoke it to the children of Israel. He didn't say, you Mexicans, if you break God's commandments. He didn't say, you Latinos, if you break God's commandments. He didn't say Latinx. He didn't say Hispanics. He said the children of Israel, if you break God's commandments. And you just pointed out that these curses pertain to your people.
We used to scream black power while heroin was pushed. But at the end of the day, nothing's in vain. IUIC has been given a vision. The tents of Judah has risen. Many has attempted the mission, minor murmuring, omitting, and missing the mark. Just reading that he had the flame of fire in his eyes gave us the spark. We on Paul's mission. We out on the road, purple and gold, from Mexico, Cuba, Haiti, Ghana, Sierra Leone. 144,000 boots banging, concrete crackling. These are our men repented at heart. The scriptures is proof. IUIC, we deliver the truth.